All right, today we're opening up the Shareholder's Playbook. We're going to show you how to take that pile of paperwork you get in the mail and turn it into a real tool, a way to make your voice heard inside some of the world's biggest companies. Yeah, does this look familiar? This is a proxy ballot. And look, for a lot of us, its first and only trip is from the mailbox straight to the recycling bin. It looks complicated, maybe a little, boring, but honestly, that's kind of what some corporate managers are hoping you'll do.
Because this is not junk mail. This is your vote. It's your voice. It's the power you have to hold management accountable and to actually help shape the future of the businesses you own a piece of. So today, we're going to show you exactly how to use it.
Okay, first stop is the boardroom. The best way to think about the board of directors is that they're your team, your representatives inside the company. Their number one job is to look out for your interests as a shareholder. But to do that effectively, they've got to be independent.
And the MVP of that team is the independent director. The key phrase to remember here is no material ties. This isn't the CEO, it's not the chief financial officer, it's not anyone who gets a regular paycheck from the company. Their only job on that board is to be a clear, unbiased, and objective eye on how things are being run.
I love this analogy because it makes it so clear. An insider director, like a CEO, they're the team captain. They're on the field, they're calling the plays, they're running the company. The independent director, they're the referee. They're on the sidelines making sure the game is played fairly, that the rules are followed, all for the benefit of the owners. That's you, the shareholders. And this is what a good balance looks like. See, you need a few team captains on the board, of course, because they know the company inside and out. But you want the vast majority to be those objective referees. I mean, think about it. A board full of insiders is like a team refereeing its own game. Not going to work. As a shareholder, you want a board that's overwhelmingly independent, because that kind of oversight almost always leads to better long-term performance.
But independence isn't just about who signs your paycheck. It's also about having a diversity of thought. You got to prevent that groupthink mentality, where everybody in the room just agrees with each other too easily. So there's a huge push for more diverse boards. For instance, in Canada, a key benchmark for the biggest companies is to have women make up at least 30% of the board.
And that focus on diversity doesn't stop with gender. The real goal is to build a team with a huge range of perspectives and life experiences. That's why there's also an expectation for big companies to have at least one director who is racially or ethnically diverse. It just ensures that more viewpoints are at the table when the really big decisions are being made. So how do you know if your directors are actually doing their job? Well, here's a quick and dirty checklist. First off, attendance. Simple, right? Did they even show up? If a director is missing more than a quarter of the meetings, that's a huge red flag. Next, commitment. Are they stretched too thin? A CEO who's also sitting on more than 2 other public company boards is considered overboarded. And maybe most important, responsiveness. If a majority of shareholders vote for something, the board needs to listen and act on it. Period.
All right, next up, let's talk about the money. Executive pay. It is easily one of the most controversial things you'll find in that proxy statement, and your vote here is a really crucial check on whether those massive, multi-million-dollar paychecks were actually earned. Your main weapon in this fight is the say-on-pay vote. Now, you might see that word advisory and think, oh, it doesn't really matter. Don't be fooled. While it's true it's not legally binding, a big no vote is a huge public embarrassment for the board, and it can absolutely force them to make major changes to how they pay their top execs. So, when you're trying to decide how to vote, you can run this simple 2-step test. First, the numbers test. It's pretty straightforward. If the company's performance is dead last compared to its peers, but the CEO's pay is at the very top, well, you've got a serious problem. Second is the reality check. You got to look beyond the flashy numbers. Are bonuses tied to really tough, clear goals? Or can the board just hand out a giant check for kind of vague reasons?
This slide is basically your cheat sheet. On the left, you've got all the red flags, those massive golden parachutes, execs getting a huge payday just because the company got sold. Or, and this is a big one, resetting stock option prices after the stock tanks. On the right, that's the good stuff. That's what you want to see. Pay that's clearly tied to performance, rules that let the company claw back unearned bonuses, and making sure executives have to own a good chunk of company stock themselves. Let's shift gears and talk about the company's rule book, its bylaws, because sometimes rules can get written in a way that makes it really hard for shareholders to use their rights. And what that does is it basically locks in the current management team. And the most famous or infamous of these is the poison pill. Its official name is a shareholder rights plan, but poison pill is way more dramatic, and for good reason.
It's designed to flood the market with new stock if an unwanted buyer shows up, making a takeover crazy expensive. But is it always a bad thing?
Well, not always, and this slide shows you why. A good pill is like a temporary shield. It just buys the board some time to go out and find an even better deal for all the shareholders. A bad pill, though, that's a permanent wall. It's designed to protect the current board from any outside offers, even if an offer would be fantastic for shareholders. The little details, like that trigger percentage, make all the difference.
At the very heart of all this is a really simple but powerful idea. One share, one vote. It means exactly what it sounds like. Every share should have the same voting power. You need to be really careful of structures like dual-class shares, where maybe the founders get special stock that has 10 votes for every 1 vote a regular shareholder gets. That setup lets a tiny group control an entire company without actually owning a majority of it.
And finally, your vote isn't just about what's happening today in the boardroom or with the CEO's paycheck. It's more and more about steering these massive companies to deal with the biggest challenges of our time, especially environmental and social issues. We're talking about everything from a company's carbon footprint to its labor practices. Let's just take climate change as the perfect example. For companies in industries like energy or transportation, investors are demanding real concrete action. Vague promises just don't cut it anymore. At the end of the day, climate risks are financial risks, and shareholders expect the board to manage them, just like any other risk to the business. And the expectations are getting super specific. Shareholders want to see, at a bare minimum, 3 things. First, clear reporting on climate-related risks. Second, setting real targets to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. And third, having an actual plan to get there, with solid medium-term goals or a commitment to be net zero by 2050.
So from the boardroom to the bank accounts, all the way to the future of the planet, your vote really matters. It's all about empowering you, the actual owner.
So this is your playbook. 4 huge areas where your vote has a direct and powerful impact. You're the guardian of the boardroom, you're the auditor of the paychecks, you're the defender of fair rules, and you are a voice for a more sustainable future.
So that piece of paper that used to look like junk mail? It's not. It's a tool. It's a responsibility. It's an opportunity. It is your chance to hold power accountable and have a real say in the companies that are shaping our world. The only question left is, how are you going to use it?